and then we're going to get into a little bit more specifics at the end. And we've got some sections for Q&A during certain parts of this section. So if you have Q&A, there's going to be sections where you're going to be able to tell those Q&A sections, okay? So let's go ahead and start off. So what is the 501st Rebel Legion? Basically what they are the phenomenal groups that gives a fandom identity to all costuming groups of Star Wars, be it the bad guys, so you have their Rolf Maul, or the good guys, that's the Rebel Legion. So, and basically we give them identity to what they are. So that gives them a little bit of support group for those people that kind of feel jaded and that. So, next slide please. So what does it mean to be the 501st? And I can't read this one bit. So what does it mean to be a part of the 501st and Rebel Legion? Well, what that basically means is to promote the interest in Star Wars, basically meaning that we dress up in the costumes at premieres, toy openings, do a lot of charity work as well to give identity to Star Wars and continue the fandom in that sense. Okay, and to facilitate the use of costumes. What does that mean? What it basically means, we give a self-identity to Star Wars as a whole. Physically, costumes, be it the Stormtrooper you see walking down the street and cutting his yard, or just when we do the, how many were you at the Last Jedi, Pam, openings, open night? Don't be shy, raise your hands, we're all fans here. Okay, so if you saw a Stormtrooper or any other costume there, that was most likely a 501st member or Rebel Legion member. So that is what we facilitate, basically giving the identity and connecting our members with places to promote our identity and the costumes. And to contribute, big point here, to contribute. Again, everything plays into itself, so what that means is we contribute back to the communities. So it's all fun and games, but we also have big hearts. So we do a lot of charities, be it Make-A-Wish. We also visit Children's Hospital to cheer up the kids there. Because a lot of times that gets us right here, because we want to do good. We're the bad guys doing good and the good guys doing good. So,
good guys doing good,
yes.
Yes.
Yes, good guys doing good, and that's out there. Okay, so the biggest question we get after we go through that, what we just went through, is how do I join? This is going to be a little bit different for both Rebel Legion and 501st. Biggest difference from 501st to Rebel Legion, 501st is local. Everything's handled locally. So that means that when you do your costume, you send it to a local GML. Rebel Legion is a little bit different where when you send your costume in for approval, you had to send it to a panel of experts to judge that costume. So we're going to gloss over some of that stuff right here, but how do I start? How do I start? So biggest thing, a lot of people ask us, how do we start our costumes? How do I get joined? How do I get into the 501st Rebel Legion? Well, like any costume out there, be it Star Wars or, like I started out, in anime cosplay, research, and did I mention research? Those are going to be your Bibles there. Now, unlike, let's say, anime, because there is so much information about Star Wars, and we have access to some things that the general public does not have, we have what we call costume reference libraries. This will basically be for your 501st and Rebel Legion, will break down A, B, C, D, and E.
Don't forget the Mandalorian mercs also do that.
And Mandalorian mercs. Like I said, we're glossing through on this. CRLs, back to CRLs. Basically what I was saying was they will give you the guide. They're your guidebooks to how to make this costume to look like it's supposed to look. Next thing is detachments. Now, a lot of people get these confused. Detachments are also your friend. So what detachments do for you is, let's say that you're doing a TIE pilot. You want to know what that screw is on the top of that helmet and how big that hole's got to be. That's going to be your detachment. They're going to have your very specific experts on there. These are people that all they do all day long is look at the screen grabs and measure out with calibers. Believe me, I've seen it. And the next thing is your local garrison and squads and outposts. Now why this is like this is because Depending on how many members there are, that's going to differ on how big that part is. Now, good for you, you live in Alabama, so you have a garrison. Yay, garrison. So the good thing about that is you have a very wide range of costumes. As you can see up here, my regular TD, my Stormtrooper, and my Galactic Marine. You killed a Jedi. So the benefit of that garrison is, like I said, the more costumes you have in a garrison, the more members you're going to have, the wider your selection of costumes. So that means that you're going to also have a lot of people that's going to have either built the costume before, have some knowledge, or maybe working on it right then. So, but if you don't have a very good group, like let's say like a squad, it's going to be the smallest area. You may have that expertise. You may ask, well, how do I build this armor? Well, if nobody's built that armor, then you need to go to the detachments. Like I said, they are going to be your experts on everything Star Wars, if nobody in your local garrison knows. Also, those are going to be your uber accurate people. So if you want the Stormtrooper to be the most accurate, they're going to have a lot of details that tells you how to get that costume 100% movie accurate. So, people also ask us, what type of costumes do we have? And on top of that, what kind of things we do. So up here, we have some examples. Now, I always go by the rules of three, because of the graphic designer in me. The rules of three. So there are three types of costumes that no matter what costume you do, be it any kind of genre, you will always find one of these three, following one of these three costume groups. We have the hard armor costumes. These are going to be costumes with predominantly hard plates. Most of your body's covered with armor hard place pieces. Then you got the soft costumes. So they're going to be your Jedi, most of your Siths, and also Rebel Fleet. Yes, I'm giving you some love out there. So and those are going to be probably Rebel Legion 2. So those are going to be your costumes you're going to be able to get in and out of very easily. You're not going to require 40 people to help you get in and out. And also you don't have to do much makeup if you do makeup. Then you're going to have what we call the hybrid costumes. Now hybrid costumes, I got a good example here. It's going to be your costumes that's going to have both fabric pieces, majority of it, and some armor. So my Galactic Marine up here is a good example of hybrid costumes. So these are going to be costumes that you're probably going to be able to get in and out of. You're going to be able to comfortably sit if you can. And also, if you don't feel like changing out your underparts, you can normally wear them. Like I do with my short trooper, believe me, I do wear my Troopers all day long. So, we're going to move on. And more examples are on 501st.com and rebellegion.com. Okay, they're not listening.
Come on, pay attention, guys.
So, like I said, there's more examples there. Those are just some examples. So there's a wealth of information. Like I said, the CRLs on both costumes we showed, and the CRLs, if you want a little bit more detail, are going to be on the website, and that's going to be the main portals. Now we go into the Q&A section. Does anybody got any questions yet? Question? Looking for a question. No questions. Okay, we're going to move along like Frodo in this journey, and we're going to segue into a new segment like the Stormtrooper that says move along. Whatever.
There we go, right there.
Whatever. They were both the same person, and I don't watch that movie because I only have watched the special features. Yes, I'm the only person in the world probably who's only watched the special features of Lord of the Rings and never the movie. They're so interesting. So, everybody asks us outside of once you pick your costume, what is going to be the next part? So, like any costume, there is going to be safety, because if you're doing hard armor, you got ABS pieces flying around, that's going to get your eye, and depending on what else you're getting, you may need respirators. So we're going to have some little safety tips here. So, with safety first is always going to be your major concern with any costume you do. So, I got some ideas up there. You're going to need safety goggles regardless of what you do, because I have thrown a needle in my face with a sewing machine. Don't believe me? Ask my doctor. And we're also going to require respirators, and also some other stuff to familiarize yourself with your tools. So don't be like me and decide to, like, I'm gonna decide to do a sewing machine and sew my hand to my fabric. I literally sew my hand to the fabric. So anybody out there that's got a worst case scenario, I probably got one better for you. And don't be like Vader and be overconfident in your ideas. Because we all know how that ended and he became, I'm not gonna go there. Spoiler! And also have a plan. So people come up to us all the time and ask us, how much does this cost to get into it? Well, I can give you a price. I'm not gonna give you a price. I can give you a price, but like I tell everybody that ever asks me about anything on my costumes, I always have a plan. Because I can give you a number and that could escalate quickly based on your skill and how much you're gonna do yourself. So like your basic Galactic Marine or your Stormtrooper, that's gonna differ in price. Galactic Marine is gonna have a little bit more customization to it, about one-off parts. They're not gonna be universal. So that's gonna be something that you're either gonna have to fabricate yourself, you're gonna have to find someone that can fabricate it, and you're gonna be paying for their time, or you're gonna have to pay for materials yourself. Now your basic Stormtrooper or Sandtrooper is gonna be a little bit, maybe a little bit cheap on the left side because it is the old traditional. So you're gonna have a lot more people out there that's gonna know how to make it. Also, you're gonna have a lot more people be able to be accessible. So the more people more costumes that are accessible, the more it's gonna be a little bit on your pocketbook. But like I said, always have a plan because like Ron Burgundy said, that escalated quickly because I have been in costumes where it cost me about $2,000 or more. If anybody was out there a little bit earlier, Phasmith, I was that Phasmith out there. That is running me about $10,000 now because of the paint. That's like $20 per paint bottle about this big. Plus all the equipment I had to buy for that. So we're gonna move along a little bit more. Now, after we do all the ideas and you've done your safety checks, you've done your research, we're gonna be prepping. And I like to say prepping like a boss. Because prepping like a boss is the best way to do it. So, depending on your costume or prop, because this also deals with props, because a lot of this stuff can go into segue into that. You may need to brush up on your skills or learn new ones. So everybody comes up to me like, how do I learn these skills? Well, you build upon what you learn, what you already know. So if you know how to sew, well, you're one step closer than I was. So you build upon so if you know how to sew, you can pretty much understand how to measure out armor. If you know how to measure out armor, you can figure out backwards compatible way to make your basic forms to maybe back form. Oh, and guys, if you want to take your helmets off, you can, because I know you're probably roasting. Yes, look at me like that. Okay, so like I said, build upon what you know and learn new skills, because that's the world of cosplay. Because we always want to learn new skills, despite what YouTube tells us, we don't know everything. Next thing, man, what do I got it right? So you may need some basic tools. So again, going back to what I said, that escalated quickly because a lot of people think I need a lot of tools. So some basic tools are needed before you can start any kind of project. So may it be, let's say, X-Acto knives, blades, sewing machine. A lot of people don't have sewing machines. Patterns, 1, 2, 3 blocks, and like I said, and clamps. Because if you're doing hard armor, you need clamps. And yes, I do yell clamps like Khan does. Okay, nobody got that. Clamps.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, right. Okay, and like I said, a lot of people also ask us, well, I don't have the money for power tools. Well, if you're doing armor, be it ABS armor or styrene, we're going to get into that a little bit later, you can cut this stuff with an X-Acto knife. It may take you a little bit longer. We do recommend maybe getting a Dremel tool. You can buy Dremel tools fairly cheap at Harbor Freight. Yes, I shop at Harbor Freight, don't judge me. But everything can be, power tools is a friend. Makes the prop building and armor making and costume making faster, but it is not required, despite what people tell you. Because I built my first set of armor with an X-Acto knife and glue. Think about that. That took me 35 hours plus no sleep. Yes, I marathoned that. I was just to say something, no, I stopped myself. And like I said, we put some up there, so if anybody wants to take some pictures of that. But like I said, most use a versatile tool. If you do get a power tool, get a variable speed Dremel. So a lot of your, like Dremel, the Dremel brand, pick them off Harbor Freight. You can pick them at Home Depot, Lowe's, anywhere. I preferably like the Fordham. They're a little bit more expensive. They're done by jewelers, but they will go through about anything. I have shattered many a Dremel blade with that thing because it spins up so fast. And again, safety first. So, and a lot of other people ask us, going to our other subjects, what is our costumes made of? So our costumes are made out of, and this goes with anything, it can normally be broken down into basic things. So most of your hard armor, like Galactic Marine and my Stormtrooper up here, their armors are normally going to be made out of ABS, styrene, hips, that's high impact plastic styrene, and those are going to be your thermoplastics. So what that basically means is you're going to have a vac form table, or it's some kind of plastic that once you heat it up, it will turn into something else. So how many people have played with Warba? A few. Okay, few, good. We're better than last time I did this panel. Warba is a derivative of these two things. So basically means that once you heat it up, you can form it, be it a very small object or a very big object. Bigger objects require more suction. So that's going to be your biggest things. Now we're going to get into your two-part process. Now, use an example. My Phasma armor is fiberglass. It weighs a lot more. It is what we call a two-part process. Two-part process is going to be your resins and your fiberglass. These are going to require you to have a lot of safety instructions already read, because they will give you lung cancer or some other derivative of cancer. Yes, I'm not joking. I wear a HEPA filter with a face mask plus a filter plus another filter. Because once you sand that stuff and it gets in your lungs, kiss your lungs goodbye. So those are going to be your two-part processes and epoxies. So what these basically means is they're going to require a little bit more time. They're also going to require a lot more reading, and also they're going to be heavier in some senses. And we're going to go into your additive processes. So how many people hired a 3D printing? Don't be shy. Okay, so the additive process is going to be what we call 3D printing. So most of your armors out there are going to be PLA, PET, ABS, and photopolymer resin. Yes, that's a lot of abbreviations, and I'm going to break them down. PLA is going to be your most basic type of additive, so that's going to be a plastic. It doesn't hold up too well. It's good for displays. You can normally make it a little bit stronger, but you're going to see, if you do anything in 3D printing, you're going to see PLA a lot. A lot of people don't like making armor out of this because it will not do well in your car. It will warp. So if you see PLA and somebody says, oh, I have 501st approval armor with PLA, stay away. So PETG. PETG is basically another derivative of PLA in this sense, but PETG is a little bit more like ABS. So that's going to be a higher temp where it can withstand. So if you leave it in your car, it's not going to do as much damage if it does anything. Also, if you have a 3D printer, I know we're all jealous. You can print a PG and it will hold up a little better. And also if you get hit. So if you have a strike blow, because kids like to, is that real? Is that real? On your armor all the time, it will hold up a little bit better. And we got ABS, basically like PETG, but if you're not into 3D printing, basically ABS is a little bit harder to print. It's a little bit more fickle. It's a fickle mistress. Yes, I said mistress. So ABS will have the same properties as PETG. So it'll hold up a lot better, higher temps that can withstand. And also, most of your consumer products are also made at ABS on some level. Now, the last one that not many people know about is photopolymer resin. Now, why a lot of people haven't heard about this? Because it's kind of new in some senses. But how many people heard of legacy effects? Weta? Okay. most of their 3D printing is done with what they call photopolymer resin. So basically what this means is a resin bath that has been impregnated with a laser to make your higher resolutions. So when people say, well, I can do X amount of stuff on my 3D printer at home, most likely it's not. You're going to have what they call defining layer lines. Photopolymer resin, because it's a resin that builds up with a laser and it sits by UV light, will not have as defined of a layer height. So that's less work on your part to smooth it out, and that's why 9 out of 10 times Weta or Legacy FX can put that on camera with just very minimum prep work, because it is such a high caliber resolution, and also it is a high-end product. You're looking at about, for that printer, for a photo resin, you're looking at minimum $20,000 plus maybe $800 per vat of resin, and you're not using all that resin. So let's move along a little faster. Oh, go back. Thank you. Now, also, we're going to play into the part of some other things. Simulated hard shape and costumes and props. So not everything that is hard. And that's not an opening to a joke. What that basically means is what you think is a hard plate may not be a hard plate. So we have a lot of what they call foam, EVA, craft foam, another form of EVA, and L2000, L400, and Plastisone. Those are derivatives of foam. So anybody that's worked with foam, these are good practices to do. Some of your newer costumes, like the Stormtrooper, does have foam in it. So these are going to be simulated where it looks basically like a simulated hard armor piece, but it's not. A lot of these are going to be in your stunt armors, and also if you crash a lot into stuff like I am. Also, you have what we call rubbers. So these are going to be your polymer rubbers, stunt rubbers. So if anybody's familiar with stunt weapons, these are going to be your little flimsy weapons that you can bash around all day long and it won't do nothing. Also, it's going to be foam rubber and etc. So how many people have seen any kind of Center Rangers? Come on, this is an anime. Power Rangers? Okay. So if you've seen Power Rangers, all the monsters, I would say a good majority of the monsters, are made out of foam rubber or poly rubber. Their costumes are made out of that because they're taking a lot of hits, they're falling down a lot, and they don't want to hurt let me get the right word correct, the costume performers. They don't call them stunt people, they call them costume performers. They get really mad when you call them the other way around. So these are costumes that are supposed to look like they're hard plates, but they're not. So a lot of your monster costumes are going to be one of the two derivatives of foam. Now, you don't see this much in our costumes as much, but that is slowly changing. Like I said, a lot of costumes now are integrating things into the costumes, like compression zones, wider openings where something looks like it's a hard rigid plate, but it's actually foam because they need to have the actors comfortable, and also to be able to perform stunts if need be, and also they can just CGI it. So.
You're ready for the slide, right?
Yeah, I'm ready for the slide. And the next thing is, when we go into, once you figure out your costume, once you figure out how to make it, and also how to assemble it, this is going to be more the realm of the 501st, because we always pride ourselves on looking like we just stepped off the screen. So that's going to be a lot of your work is going to be in the making of it, and also in the prep work. So, and also the finishes. So, when you finish your costume, it is good to clean it and also to prime it. So, a lot of your things will have to be primed that you get from 501st or 501st approval methods. So, it will look right and hold up because everything needs to be primed. Also, like a lot of stuff, like my Phasma helmet, ooh, I just got super loud. A lot of people don't think about this, but it is about sanding and prepping the surface. So that's what they call riding the sanding ladder. So if you're watching YouTube videos that say ride that sanding ladder, they're talking about that. So what that basically means is you start off with a primer, you work your way up to the finest grit. So I went from 300 grit sandpaper on that helmet all the way up to 5,000. And that took me 40 hours just to sand. And also paint. So a lot of things is paint. So a lot of our Stormtroopers and Sandtroopers, that weathering is not from the convention, that is paint. So we also pride ourselves on getting the weathering right. And also, like Phasma, the paint job is in the details. So unlike a lot of people that have an extra 50,000 to burn to chrome plate their armor, I did not. So I went with the paint method. And believe me, I wish I kind of did not. So what the paint method basically means is that is my finish. And that is a suspended alloy paint. Again, respirator and safety first, because I am breathing in particles of metal suspended in, what do they call it? Out. It's like a acetone suspension. So I basically breathing in paint and metal. So we want you to finish your armor, and we want to finish it well. Now, there are some costumes that we have in the 501st and Rebel Legion that do not require a finish. My Sandtrooper there, his armor is basically the ABS, so no additional paintings needed unless you want to be super accurate. Now, my Galactic Marine there, his armor may require painting because I don't think they make red ABS yet, have they? No, I don't know. I can't hear. So, again, that color red is unique to the Galactic Marine. So that's going to be, again, we're going to be doing what we call here, keep calm and finish it, prep, clean, prime, climb that sanding ladder, and then paint and finish. Now, depending on what you want to do in your painting of your object, your costume, or your prop, it may require some additional things. So, clear coating. So if you want to keep it nice and clean, depending on what you want to do, or you want to grime it down but protect the paint, you may want to go with a matte or matte finish to keep that paint from just scratching off. Also, like my Phasma helmet, it may require some additional things. So for Phasma, I basically had to learn how to airbrush, learn how to airbrush with clear coat, cry to myself a few times, rebuff it, resand it, repaint it, cry again.
A lot of tears.
Yes, and just gorged on what's those little microwave pizza ovens because I was so depressed on making that helmet because that finish was a pain. Yes, and that's why I said additional methods of painting may require additional tools on that note. Now, a lot of people ask us, okay, I got my costume, I done my stuff, I done my research, I done this, I done this, I done this. I still don't understand how to join the 501st or Rebel Legion. Well, I'm going to give you the tools right here. So, I finished my costume, but I carefully researched and fabricated and a lot of hard work put into it. Have you done that? Yes. Do you have a passion for Star Wars and helping others? Yes. Do you own or fabricate a professional quality costume based on the bad guys? Emphasis on good guys too. I'm not leaving anybody out. And Mandos, I'll get to that. Bad guys in Star Wars, among all have at least 18. Because that is the key. You gotta be at least 8. That's the one big iffy. You gotta be at least 18 to join the 501st or Rebel Legion or any major costuming group. What that basically means is, and yes, that's not a joke to an opening line. So basically what that means is once you say yes to all those answers, that is your link to that portal. So that will basically get you in touch with your local garrison, local squad, outpost, or whatnot to get you approved. And once they approve you, you get all the benefits of being a 501st or Rebel Legion member. So you get to hang out with the cool kids. Well, cool kid, nerdy kid. It's semantics.
We're cool. We're very cool.
So that is the 501st Rebel Legion. kind of side. But wait, there's more. So let's say you don't want to do a bad guy from Star Wars as an Empire. Let's say you don't want to do a good guy. Let's say that you want to be a bounty hunter. Well, there's costuming groups for the bounty hunters as well, called the Mandalorian Mercs. They are affiliated with us. Also, let's say that you don't have a passion of doing any costume. You want to be the driver of a droid. Well, there's a website good for you, the R2 Builders Club. Yes, that name is very deceptive because they do more than R2. They do BB-8s, they do mouse droids, and they do any droid that ever shown up on TV, CGI or not. There are some people doing choppers. So if you're big into chopper, go to that site. And also I got the link up for the Rebel Legions. So those are gonna be your big things there on the how to join us or one of our affiliated groups. And yes, we are one big family. We play in the same sandbox. Okay, I just said that out loud and it sounded really gross.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So, and we always say good luck to you. Because we know that
Do you approve? Do you approve?
and like anything in any endeavor that we take upon anybody, we always say good luck to you because we know we are asking a lot of our fan base and the people who want to join us or any affiliated group. So Kyle always approves that you always good luck. And to show you really quickly, well, next slide please. This is the celebration photo. So people say, well, I thought this was not a very big group. Lies! That is a picture from Celebration this year. We basically outgrew Rebel Legion. Rebel Legion had and there's not even that, there's more people in that photo. Well, let me rephrase. There is, I don't know. There are actually not that many people in that photo because there were some people that did not get in that photo. A lot of people did not get in that photo. Yeah, somebody fingered it because I've got this off Google. Thank you, Google. But again, we are international, so that means that anywhere you go in the whole world, you will find a 501st member or Rebel Legion member, more likely. Well, maybe not Alaska. Well, let's change that. Alaska, yes. Antarctica, maybe. That's the only place I can think of. Okay, back to this Yoda. Oh. So, we're going to show you one more slide, and then we're going to open up the questions, and these could be off-ball questions if you want them. And so, we're going to do that. Now, this is what some links I put up. These are places I go personally for my costuming needs. Also, if I need some help to build on my skill basis. So if anybody wants to take pictures, they can. I put up there RPF. That's a good link for if you're not interested in any Star Wars. Also, get some Star Wars. They do everything from Replica Prop Forum. They do everything from props to costumes. That's if anybody saw me last year, I was Judge Dredd walking around. That's where I got a lot of that information from. We also have the Costume and Technician's Handbook. That's a good one if you don't know how to sew, want to learn how to make professional theater grade costumes. That is a good handbook to have. I got that when I was in college in UAB, Go Blazers, and was in their theater department. The Prop Builder's Molding and Casting Handbook. That's a good one if you want to learn how to build a vac form table, step by step. Also, if you want to learn how to do castings. So let's say you make a cool little emblem and you want to cast that up and make duplicates. That's going to tell you how to do it step by step. And we also have the Stan Winston School of Character Arts, so they got some nice DVDs and web seminars. So if you don't know how to paint metal, they got a seminar right there for you that will take you step by step how to make a metal metallic paint. Also, we have Studio Creations. They're going to also have a lot of the same stuff covered in the Prop Builders Molding and Casting Handbook, but it's on the internet. So if you're not very good at, can't find the book, or you just want to find somewhere quick, that's your link. Punish Props. Bill Duran has a lot of nice things on YouTube, and I also gain a lot of information from him. So he's going to have a lot of the stuff out there that's going to learn you how to airbrush, also basic 101s. Programming Arduino, so anybody that has any flashing lights or BB-8 builders, or if you want to be like Boba Fett and have those nice blinky lights, that's going to be your first step on how to program Arduino boards. Good book. Also, 3D printing nerd. So that's a nice one to go if you're just in the market for, yes, my BB-8. BB hate. Whatever, I call him hate. 3D printing nerd, if you're in the market for a 3D printer, you don't know what to look for, that's a good resource. MakerMuse is another good resource about how to get into 3D printing. And also, if you want to do some 3D modeling, AutoCAD Fusion 360 is free. Emphasis on free. Okay, so let's go back to Yoda, please. So, you have questions, do you? So that again, these could be questions to me or in general. Anybody? Come on, don't be shy. Right there. It depends. Now, mind if I borrow one of your helmets? Helmet, please. Helmet, please. Helmet. Thank you. Thank you. Give it up to Sparky, everybody. So, this is ABS. Now, like I said, there are different derivatives. Now, we're going to use my Phasma helmet as the foil. My Phasma helmet is a cast. It's made out of fiberglass. So that is what they call a three-piece mold. So that is all going to be sculpted, molded, then cast in fiberglass. So that's going to be a little bit more labor intensive. Now, basically is you're going to have some sculpted skills to do this. Because you're going to have a bust of your head, or you can buy a pre-done bust at 3dmonsters.com. I'm not 100%. Monstermaker.com. They have a pre-done bust that you can sculpt your helmet or whatnot on. That's a pretty good size head. It's 22 inches wide, so that fits my head. So again, that is going to be cast. It's going to be molded and sculpted. It depends. It depends. Like I said, a lot of that book I just mentioned about casting process, it's going to give you a wide range. So a lot of people use what they call alginate to cast. Then they make a fiberglass jacket to go over that to give it some rigidity, and then they slush cast it in resin or fiberglass or whatnot. Some people use what they call epoxy. Also, all these things I mentioned are very expensive, so you're going to have some. Now, like this, we take 2 steps out. This is what we call an ABS helmet. These are going to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more durable. If I'm not going to drop it, if I drop it, it's going to not be shattered into 1,000 pieces like my Phasma helmet. So this is going to be basically done the exact same way. You're going to have a bust. You're going to sculpt on the bust your form. Then you're going to what they call plaster it or jacket it. So you're making a rigid form of your sculpted medium. Then once you do that, you're cutting it up to put into a vac form. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You got basically, how many pieces is this? 2?
It's going to be 2 ears, the top and the back and the front.
Okay, so 4 major pieces. So you're going to cut this up and you're going to use a vac form table to make your pieces. So like I said, unlike the casting process, you take 2 steps out because you don't have to do that positive, negative molds. So a lot of people prefer vac forming. I don't know what's wrong with my tongue. Vacuum forming. I'm going to break that. Vac forming because it's a lot faster and a lot easier, and it holds up a little bit better. A lot of your studios also will do vac forming because they are trying to mass produce stuff. So a lot of your Stormtroopers and Force Awakens were vac formed because it's something they can just put on assembly line and do. Your one-off, Kylo Ren's helmet probably was a cast, like I mentioned the first time, and because it was only worn by very few people, so they did not have to make hundreds and hundreds of them at one time. Does that answer your question? Okay. Next, moving along. Next question. Guy in the blue had his hand up first, and I'll get you, Kylo.
Do you have specific local resources for people approved sellers or people that y'all trust? Because I know with the Mercs we have sellers that were warned against, sellers were kind of steered towards.
We do. Now that's going to be more in detail in your attachment forms. They're going to have a more listed detail of who and what. So like I said, big thing, stay away from eBay and Etsy at times. Big no-no, because
Sometimes helpful because my rank bar.
yes, sometimes. But again, this goes back to research. Look at what they've done, look at the reviews, especially Etsy, because sometimes there's some scenes on sketch. But like I said, our detachment forums are going to be very good about weeding out a lot of people and have people that have kind of done other people wrong, because we want to make this as accessible as possible to everybody, because we do not discriminate against race, gender, or creed on that note. So again, detachment forums are going to be more detailed because you're going to have a lot larger pool of people that's going to be able to tell you, yes, this person ripped me off from this place, unlike local people that may not know that knowledge. So we'll put that slide back up if anybody's interested in going to those detachments. But again, detachments are going to be your friend because they're going to most likely have a link on there or a thread or a place where you can put Q&A. Is this armor good or is this vendor good? So they're going to be in more details because you've got a much larger pool. Kylo.
Do you know when the specifications will be released for the Last Jedi?
Right now, which one? Because there are multiple Kylos maybe in the pipeworks. And we're not talking about the shirtless one. What are these right now? When are these certifications for what we call costume reference libraries for the new Kylos coming out? They're most likely in the works. To get more detail on that, I would probably go to what we call our flagship garrison, not our flagship eclipse.
Flagship Eclipse, yes.
Flagship Eclipse. They are dealing with only Sith Lords. They're going to have the DL on the CRLs for that, and they're going to be the first ones to post it most likely than before the 501st does. Because they're the ones that are researching it and also looking into it in more detail. Believe me, we're looking forward to those.
Sometimes they actually will post them up after somebody has went in for approvable, and if they deem it approvable, they let them write the CRLs. That is a possibility as well. I've seen that happen.
Yes, that has happened multiple times. That happened with Phasma.
Happens with Sabine too, a lot.
Yeah. So we're moving along to next question.
Do right there in the regiment. Back there.
Red shirt. You gotta speak up. I'm kind of deaf.
Most of the older movies weren't as well preserved and documented. In the newer movies, they work with the maker community and try to get access to these new props that are coming out.
It depends. Most of the Force Unleashed stuff, I mean not the Force Unleashed, but most of the more canon Force Unleashed, Force Awakened, they were really hush-hush because they did not want leaks to come out. So most of what you're getting, and this is going into what I'm going to say, that's why a lot of people say stay away from Etsy and eBay, because a lot of these people that are putting up 3D models and putting up armor, they're looking at screen grabs from one side, and they're extrapolating what's on the other side. So a lot of them are hush-hush at the moment. We will get some stuff out there, but some of this stuff is what we call versions. Good example, my Shore Trooper. The makers of that Shore Trooper went through 18 versions of the Shore Trooper because we only got one picture of Celebration. That was the major picture, and we only got the trailers. And those are blurry at best, and then we all know what happened in the trailer. They changed the endings. But a lot of the Celebration photos did not show a lot of the details. They did not show the Under Armours. They did not show a lot of the back details because nobody could get an upper picture of the chest box and the back box. So a lot of them people got approved, probationally approved on that note, but later on, more people got more detail. Now, the costume designer for the Shore Trooper, the guy that was over the Shore Trooper division and the people making Rogue One, he did come out and say what colors were used on the Shore Trooper. He actually point blank said that after we all begged, what color is this? We basically busted his Twitter, asking him what colors were on the Shore Trooper. He finally broke down and told us exactly what colors. So it can happen. They're not really obliged to help us. It's more, again, research. That's why a lot of people ask me, I want to do this costume that just came out, the new hotness. And I always say, well, you can do the new hotness, but do we actually know what's in that costume? So that's what happened to a lot of people that did the Force Awakens.
May I add something real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of to add on the CRL stuff, because I'm actually going through something similar right now and actually about to go through another. There are a lot of costumes out there that do not have CRLs already approved or even in the works, that they are actually, they're listed on the forums in the various things and they're not fully approved. Like there isn't even a CRL written yet. I know right now I'm about to submit a season 2 Sabine Wren, but it's a light armor version. As long as you have full reference photos, more than one of a costume, there's a good chance it could get approved even if it doesn't have a CRL.
And again, that happened to a lot of people that did the Dark Horse series. So a lot of costumes that appeared in the Dark Horse comics, a lot of those costumes got approved. Prince Caesar, yes. His bodyguard, the female bodyguard droid,
Dark Empire Luke.
Dark Empire Luke, a lot of those got approved because there was enough reference there that we can extrapolate from. So if you can prove it, it can be approved, maybe. Well, I'm just that's why I say maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. It depends on how much work you put into that costume. Okay, who's next? Yes. I'll go ahead and get you, and then I'll get the guy in the back.
So you're talking about different sort of, I guess, colors, and I was wondering if you listed, for making sure that the colors match what they're supposed to, are you listing by Pantone or brand color or?
Well, okay, so in that debate, it depends on who doing the research. A lot of people will, like, going back to my Stormtrooper, a lot of people are posting up the Pantone charts. Now, people that's not in graphic design, Pantone is the international color chart. So that will tell you how much X, Y, and Z color there is in that specific color. So that will give you a perfect match. Now, there are armors like, again, going to detachments, they're gonna have the details. So like if you were doing a Stormtrooper, if you want to know exactly what color sand that's on the Stormtrooper's armor, they will tell you the brand, the color, where to buy it, if it's available in the US, because some colors are not, and also maybe an alternative. So again, detachments are going to be your uber researchers. That's always good to fall back on because they will tell you exactly what you need. Now, again, Stormtrooper, because it was on Twitter, you can always go there. But a lot of, you know how everybody is on Twitter, you go through 15 posts and you can't find anything.
What if the CRLs are extremely vague?
Yes, some CRLs are vague because they allow us wiggle room. Now, like, if they're vague on that sense, they will refer you to a color that looks correct. A lot of people, like the Force Awakens, no, what am I saying? Force Awakens, the new movie.
There's Last Jedi, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens Stormtroopers. Everybody assumed they were white. There is now research going on now that said they are gray, an offshoot white, based on comments said in the books, the art books, comments made by some of the costume designers. So people who are creating that costume right now are finding colors that closely match. That does not mean that you're not going to get approved, as long as it looks the part and is very close to what you are. Because unlike some people, me personally, I'm the exception in a lot of this stuff because I'm a graphic designer, so I have my monitors calibrated. I can tell the change of one color. Now, with the older movies, it's really hard to do that, especially with the Blu-rays, because the color shifts. But they will, like I said, detachments are going to be more of your people that's going to give you references on, is it this color or this color, and there's going to be debates. And what is going to be satisfy both camps? What's going to help you get approved? Okay, let's make a compromise here. If it's this color, yes. If it's this too white, no. So they're, like I said, the detachments are going to be your best bet on knowing what colors what, and also alternatives. Because the Stormtrooper had a blue on there that is not bought, you cannot buy in the US. It's a Ford Nissan Ford Blue that's only made in the UK. So unless you import it or get it custom mixed, you cannot buy it in the United States. Guy in the back.
Easiest way to get access to a vacuum table. Easiest way to get access to a vacuum table.
Build it. Build it, build it, build it. Because that book I mentioned up there, the Costuming Handbook, that will tell you how to build a vacuum table with just minimum parts and also minimum effort. Again, unless you just have a big bankroll and decide to throw money at something, build it. Because that's the first thing I always do. If I can't afford it, I build it. Well, take that. I'm not going to go into that horror story. Next question. Next question. Yes, Firefly.
Thank you. I've been trying to figure it out for like this entire time. I'm like, I know it, but I can't place it for the life of me.
Okay, so that is the great debate going on right now, because there's people in both camps here. Now, the reason why a lot of our costumes are hard armor like ABS are because it holds up, and it will hold up no matter what you do. My experience with EVA foam covered in styrene is it kind of holds up, but you have to do more maintenance. That, like I said, that could change in the near future as more movies being made, since now Lucas don't have to wait 5 or 7 years now to get a movie. Yes, I went there.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Now, there also is an alternative. It wasn't mentioned, but it's what a lot of us Mandalorians use. It's called Sintra. It is a closed-cell PVC plastic. No, you didn't. You did not have Sintra up there. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for stuff like, Stormtroopers, Galactic Marine, stuff like that. However, if you were looking to do something like my Boba Fett back there who took his bucket off earlier, there's also fellow Mandalorian also in here, or if you wanted to do like some of us wanted in the Rebel Legion do our Sabine Wrens, you can also use Sintra. You could also probably use it for other parts. I know I'm about to start working on a Temple Guard Grand Inquisitor, and I'm thinking about using the chest plate, making the chest plate out of Sintra. So that is another option, but please be careful. If heated up too high, it will produce chlorine gas.
And we just got the 2 minutes mark, so we're going to go through this very fast if we get any more questions. Also, you need a heat gun. That's another thing.
An oven will work too.
I don't recommend oven because if you eat in the oven, that stuff puts out gas, deadly gas.
6 mil work in the oven if you know what you're doing.
Oh, one more
If
question.
you know what you're doing.
You were talking about making the alginate cast of your face and head. You also said to use fiberglass to shore up the alginate. I was under the impression you were not supposed to put fiberglass cloth anywhere near your face.
You're not, because this is after you made the jacket. This is, like I said, I glossed over some stuff. Basically, you made the alginate, you get the alginate, you cut the alginate to put it off your face, then you make the jacket around the alginate.
Take the mold up.
Make the mold off. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend it unless you want to do that YouTube.
People do the plaster bandages and stuff.
Yeah, you can do the plastic bandages, but a friend of mine does fiberglass. Fiberglass holds up a little bit better and it's not as heavy. Because if you're doing slush cast, you're going to be working out your forearms. So, any more questions? Any more questions? Way in the back.
I was wondering if I have not the skills required to make those heavy estimates, but I have the money to pay for something like that.
Okay, so the question is, I have the money, but I don't have the skills. I wish we was all in that situation. So, if you have the money but don't have the skills, that's going to be the more expensive route. They're going to be your spec ops. So again, detachment forums are going to be your friend in that situation, not the shady Facebook groups. So again, get on the detachment forum for spec ops, and they'll tell you how to get in touch with some people that can maybe help you out there. And we'll throw that link up there one more time. How much time? One more.
Left or right?
Forward. We'll give you the link later on, okay? Okay. So we got one time for one more question.
I thought I saw somebody, David.
For the resources for developing the new CRLs, how much are y'all using for the Filoni shows? Since he keeps putting up fairly detailed character descriptions and sheets? Like, do y'all use those to develop any new CRLs or adjust?
There has been some adjustments there, but they normally get as a derivative of a CRL. Like Fox and Wolf from Clone Wars. There's two different versions of them. You can do the humanoid, accurate version, or the animated. Most of the Filoni stuff is going to fall into your animated realm, and they're going to have CRLs by themselves if you want to go that route.
They're also very lenient on the more animated stuff, just because sometimes it is hard to go from animation to real life. But generally, those images are usually pretty much what they go by.
Yes, and not
At
every,
least color-wise.
and then not everybody runs bow-legged. Yes,
Yeah.
that unnerves me every day. That's why I cannot watch Clone Wars, because they all run bent-legged. So how much? We're on. Okay, we have a table out there. We're going to be out there for a few more minutes. If you have additional questions, I'll be out there too. So if you have additional questions that we couldn't get to, just head over to the table right in front of the Kamicon shop.